Haha, scared you, didn't I? I'm really bad with horror. I get scared super easily, and I'm very, very jumpy. Like, when I see a scary video or a movie, it just... Now, where I am very scared of the genre, you see, I find it extremely interesting. When done right, horror can be super creative. It's a great way to explore a wide range of dark concepts and interesting stories. I don't think I'd be alone in saying that some days, I feel very drawn to explore a bunch of horror concepts and have fallen down multiple rabbit holes of spooky videos just out of a sense of morbid curiosity. So besides disturbing me or making me take my headphones off every few seconds, these stories tend to leave a big question in my head. How would I do this? Interesting. Now, if there's a way to do horror that I love, it comes from Junji Ito. Beyond the atmospheric and amazing art, he has creative storytelling philosophy that I adore. I have no idea if it's called something, but I notice what he tends to do is take one concept and completely run with it. In Uzumaki, it's spirals. In Glyceride, it's oil. In Hellstar Romania, it's a giant planet. In Geo, it's stench. I know that there's more going on with these stories than just one concept being frightening, but most of the horror elements drawn from a single concept of, how can I make blank scary? So then, with all this being said, we can now link back to, how should I do this? Probably like Junji Ito if I can. Now, we can ask a different question with that being, okay, so what should I do for a Junji Ito style story then? And to answer that question, well, I actually get really busy around this point and didn't seriously think about it for a while until one day. I was getting coffee and I was waiting for the walk sign so I could cross the street. The idea popped into my head again. I thought, red lights kind of suck. You gotta wait for a little while. Yeah, Junji Ito could probably do stuff with this concept, probably. So that was the answer to my question. A red traffic light, I suppose. A runner-up idea was a bench I saw. Maybe like a human is made into a bench, or like they can't leave the bench. Maybe I'll do a bench next time. If you look at itch.io, it's not all a surprise that horror games are the most looked at titles. It's literally the first tag you see. This makes sense though. Modern horror games tend to be extremely simple, extremely accessible, and extremely shareable. For my project, I didn't really care about making a super unique viral experience. I just wanted to see how it felt to make one of these and to see if they really did get more people playing it than the other things that I make. I was curious about the actual implementation of a spooky atmosphere and jump scares. Like beyond turning the lights down low and adding loud booms, is there more nuance to it? Definitely. Was it really easy to make an experience like this? Would I be scared while I'm testing it? Would anyone else find it scary? Would it be fun? Now, this sounds like I was ready to get started, but would it surprise you that I got very busy and had to shelve it again? For the next few months, I would think about it a little bit from time to time and write down a small outline. Hold on, I think I got it here. I believe this is it. Looks a little bit more ambitious than I remembered. Okay, well, let's go over it. Fades in, staring at light. Car behind you. Adjust mirror, slight face. Side mirror. Bend down to get flashlight. Turn around to shine it. Creature in back seat. Red flash jump scare. Fade into red light again. Turn around. No one in, no car behind. Radio green light. Person in front of car. Red light eyes? Question mark? Lock door. Red light bigger. Car is dead. Radio is red. Turn on radio. Backseat red. Bloody baby horse in backseat. Blood is around car now. Get out of car. Look around. Big red light. Dead landscape. Go find keys. Red light becoming. Find keys. Alarms start blaring. Creature is seen. You should run. Back in car. Red lights outside looking at you. More red lights. All around car. World turns red. Turns into red dot. Red dot turns green. Back in car. Turn on car. Drive turn left. Car driving green light ahead. Turns yellow. End title credits. Now this is how you do a design doc. Did you get that? Okay, so to break it down, basically it was going to be player in car. 3 spooky things happen in car. Need to leave car to find keys. Thing chase you back to car. Game ends with player driving away. It was around this time where I felt that this could be fun if me and my brother wanted to help out along with one of his buddies. I pitched them the ideas and they were happy about it. We all high-fived on Discord. This is when feature creep started to happen. Now, it wasn't too bad, but the ideas we wanted to add were essentially a bunch of radio songs and commercials that would sort of warp and distort depending on the spookies. Then the idea kind of turned from a more linear, these are the scary things that will happen to the player, to, well, Five Nights at Freddy's, to be totally honest. The player was stuck in the car while things happened to them, and they were trying to prevent those spooky events by doing things in the car. If that makes any sense. Traffic light monster running up to car, honk at it. Radio starts blaring distorted radio songs, turn it off. Things in the back seat, look at them. If you failed at any of these, the player would die and you'd have to reset the game. You know, FNAF sort of stuff. I think we were happy with these ideas at the time, but we were all pretty busy. We were going to wait a month to start, and then that turned into a couple months, and it sort of faded as we were kind of busy doing our own stuff. During this fourth waiting period, I started to think more critically about the state of the project. If we wanted to make this current FNAF version of the project, it probably would have taken months of work at our current level of available time. I felt like it needed to kind of go back to a shaved version of the original plan, since this was always supposed to be the kind of more quick and dirty. With our timelines not really lining up, I decided I would just go in solo and we could try something else in the future. To further speed up the project, I decided on two more things. I was going to use some old code I had lying around, and I was going to use assets from the Unity store. A side tangent here, I wanted to do a full asset flip project just to see what I could do with that idea. I did some of it here, but I might do a larger version of it in the future. An asset flip is basically when you don't really make any of the art assets yourself and instead buy or find a pack and flip them into your own game project. If there's any indie game developed by a small and or solo developer and it looks really, really good, it's probably an asset flip. That's just a little SuitNtie fact for you. With this plan, I think I was ready. For the old code, I had a first-person movement C# script. It's very simple, a click to interact with objects kind of system. The majority of the gameplay is just that. The player interacts with the correct objects in the card to progress to the next phase of the game that will bring a new creepy event along with something else to click on. It initially allowed for walking, but once I decided to keep the game solely in the car, I totally removed that function. I figured just using old code would help me move along quicker, and I think it initially did, but it led to some issues. Why, do you ask? Well, the code is scuffed, like ultra scuffed. I have scripts talking to scripts that control other things in other scripts, along with public variables out the wazoo. I'm not currently skilled or knowledgeable enough to script things in a way that isn't hell. This is okay for these early solo projects, but not being able to build clean code for myself always leads to eventual issues or major decrease in scope just because I can't really make the things I want to work. Coding is very difficult for me. I hope that one day I'll get okayish at it, enough to make base systems that can be built upon. But that's not this time, I guess. And with that stated, I can accurately say the scariest thing about this project, 100%, is the code. Well, that reminds me. With horror, the sound effects are arguably the most important thing. It's what creates the atmosphere and fully embellishes the scares. For me personally, sounds add so much fear to the horror that I can't play or watch things with sound on. I just have no experience making sounds at this point, and all I have really is audacity like a huge lame-o. I held off learning it until one day I heard my washing machine. Sound people kind of use this sort of thing. They just kind of take normal noises and make cool stuff out of them.
Breakfast cereal, put in it here with the cornstarch.
I feel like it totally worked, and this is the point where I was fully committed to the project. For the rest of the sounds, I did go into a sound library and just download them all, but I did spend time editing the sound effects. I found that to be a very cool way to explore and enhance the project. For the art style, I really didn't have a strong desire to go towards any sort of unique direction specifically. I mentioned earlier that I used assets from the asset store, so I kind of just went with, general low poly kind of stuff. I grabbed what I wanted, like a city stuff, a car, road things. So I had all these asset packs, but now I needed to make stuff myself. A couple of things. We have a backseat monster, the actual traffic light monster, and the big red orb. I had done some VFX tests prior to the project and had made a big red orb thing that I already kind of liked. I didn't really want it to be fancy or anything. I just needed it to look vaguely eye-ish and sort of looming. For the monsters, I had two. I wanted them to be kind of unique-ish and thematic to a car, I guess. The initial thoughts, I felt like a fetus in the backseat was good for an atmospheric creep out instead of a monster. But a human fetus, that's kind of basic. So I thought maybe a horse fetus. A horse? Yes, horsepower. Cars. Cars got horsepower. That's a connection, right? So I decided on a horse monster that would be super long and sort of slither into the car. I think I was inspired by Longhorse. It's a cryptid thing that is a horse with a really long neck and is missing a bottom jaw. Without realizing it, I basically came up with the exact same thing, but it has skin and glowing eyes. Yes, you can say it's plagiarism. I don't mind. So this is Traffic Light. I guess that's the name. I know what you're thinking. Okay, but hear me out. We got hooves. So the idea was to have a monster that looks like a traffic light, but then it starts moving. In order to make it not 100% a copy, I moved down the traffic light head, gave it a gnarly ribcage, and extra long arms with another joint, and hooves. That's kind of neato, right? Just a side note, the UVs and texturing for this creature are horrendous. I really didn't want to get too into that, so just know that it's really bad. I did do some basic animations, like a neck break for the long horse that triggers the jump scare, and a bit of a red light, green light kind of walk for the traffic light. It looks really weird, you know? The game was done. I put everything together, and you can go check it out for yourself now if you want on itch.io. There's a link in the description. So for me, this was absolutely the part I was most interested in. I really wanted to know how well a horror game would do in relation to the other genres. Because when you look at itch.io's homepage, well, you know, horror. So I was able to finish it and sent my buddy a test. At this point, I really wasn't sure if it was scary. All the fear kind of left me once all the frustration kicked in. Honestly, 2 or 3 times looking at the jump scare, I was kind of over it. To my surprise, the jump scare got him. And the project was, I quote, enjoyable. I then slapped it into itch.io and began the process of, okay, I'm going to check now. Nice. It got almost 900 plays to this day that I'm recording. When I first released it, I got about 600 in the first week or 2, I believe. To relate to my other projects, it did better than most, but it didn't blow anything out of the water. For instance, the N64 project I worked on with my brother had numbers very similar, and in fact got on the homepage for a while. I think what's interesting is the engagement I got. It got more comments than the other projects in a quicker amount of time, as well as video links to playthroughs. Now, obviously, keep in mind there's probably a lot of other reasons this doesn't go farther than the other projects I have, like the thumbnail, the upload timing, or, you know, it's just not very good. Yeah. But yeah, with this done, I was satisfied. I learned a lot more on sound design this time around, and generally had a fun time with it. Keeping the game very messy and loose, especially with things like creature designs, and just overall gameplay, felt very fun and creative. And it's always good to have a project that allows you to just go, you know? I think I would do another horror game. I found the change of pace very interesting, and delving a bit more into that shadowy side of yourself and make things really messed up is kind of therapeutic in a way. Okay, I gotta check. What do you want? Do you want to hang out? All right. Well, yeah, this is just off the cuff. I'm just kind of going over some stuff, just chatting, really. So if you have made it this far, thanks so much for watching. It really means a lot that anyone gets to watch these, and if it shows up on their feed and they take a look at it, that's very cool and very unexpected. So interesting, the first vid I got more views than I thought it would. I really didn't think it would get that many, and it's awesome that it did. I think it took like 5 days before, you know, it kind of started moving along, but yeah, so that's cool. That's fun to see. And subscribers too, you know, obviously subscribers don't mean so much anymore, but, or these days, but, yeah, no, if more people subscribe, that's super cool. I don't normally get this kind of stuff. So that's great. Yeah, so if you made it this far and you're still listening, leave a comment if you'd like for anything that maybe I could change. I'm very new to this and, my editing and writing and all that stuff is not great. So if you have any pointers or things that are bugging you or whatever, then just let me know in the comments. There was one on the first video there that someone pointed out about the editing that I agreed with after they pointed it out, and I tried not to do it in this video. So that was very useful. So, if anyone's got more of those, that's all cool. I got a couple ideas for new videos. I might move away from the more devloggy stuff. I might start just doing videos about certain subjects. I'm not sure. I had a video that came out. It was like the last one I did, and it was basically just me like talking about a thing I made. And I'd like to do more of that, but specifically for little projects that I make that I don't want to do a full video like this on, I'd like to just make a little video about those and, put up some gameplay footage of the thing I'm talking about. The last one I did, I didn't have any, and people were a little confused in the comments, like, oh, this is literally just talking. If I ever have any kind of podcasty ideas or format, it'll probably be very similar to that. I didn't know if I should name it something like SuitNtie, but that would be the name I'd give it. I just don't know if I want to start a quote-unquote series this kind of early on. So, and yeah, I guess I might have forgot to mention in the video to check out this game if anyone's interested. I say game, it's really more of a project, a 15-minute long project. I know a couple of people couldn't get to the end. They got to a point where they didn't know what to do, and they're like, oh, it's very cool. And then I'd mention, did you see this thing? And then they're like, oh, no, I didn't. So yeah, see if you can make it to the end. The end, there's a green light. So yeah, I don't know. It was fun making the video. I think this one took me about like a month-ish. And I kind of really pushed at the end here to really finish because I got stuff coming up in life that I don't really want this video on the back burner at all. I just kind of want it to be done. And yeah. All right. I guess I got nothing else to say. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everyone.